Hey everyone. We got a bunch of really interesting articles all about AI in finance and how companies are trying to use it, well, responsibly.
Yeah.
It's not just about the tech,
Right.
it's about the ethics and even how it's regulated.
Mhm.
So we're going to do a deep dive into all of that. Get ready for some aha moments.
For sure. What's so interesting here is that responsible AI, it's not just a buzzword anymore.
Yeah.
Companies are really starting to see the power of AI.
Yeah, they are.
And they're realizing that to use it right, it's got to be fair,
Mm-hmm.
transparent, you know,
Transparent, yeah.
which is huge for everyone.
It is huge for everyone, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got some excerpts from Navigating Responsible AI in the FinTech Landscape.
Okay.
That's from InfoQ.
hmm
And another article that's just called Pasted Text.
Okay.
And they both really focus on how companies are trying to make using AI ethically essential.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's becoming essential for their business. It's not just some concept out there.
Yeah.
Think about, applying for a loan
Right.
or, dealing with your credit score.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you want those decisions to be made fairly?
absolutely.
80% of companies are increasing their investment in responsible AI.
Wow.
So it's definitely a major trend.
It is a major trend. Okay, let's break it down a little bit because
Yeah.
one of the articles talks about 4 levels of responsible AI implementation. And it starts with this idea of the program level,
Right.
which I think is sort of the big vision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the program level, companies are setting, like the ethical tone from the top down. They're defining what their commitment is to, things like fairness and transparency,
Yeah.
laying out, their core values and how they're going to embed those into their AI.
I see. So it's sort of setting the foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we move to the policy level,
Okay.
which is where we take those principles, those high-level principles, and we turn them into actual rules and frameworks that govern how the AI can and cannot be used.
So it's getting down to the nitty-gritty of, okay, how do we actually do this?
Yeah. And it's so interesting to see how the EU's AI Act is kind of pushing companies in this direction.
Interesting.
Yeah. It categorizes AI systems
Yeah.
based on risk from unacceptable risk, which would be something like, AI being used for invasive surveillance without consent.
Right. That's definitely a hard no.
Right, all the way to like minimal risk AI,
Okay.
like maybe simple fraud detection systems.
Yeah.
So the EU AI Act, it actually requires companies to meet different obligations depending on what risk level their systems are.
So if a company is developing like a high-risk AI, like let's say they're using it for credit scoring or something like that, they need to be extra careful.
Absolutely.
Really prove that they've done their due diligence.
Yeah. Transparency is key there. You can't just say, oh, trust us, our AI is fair.
Yeah.
They've got to be able to show their work.
Yeah, they've got to show their work, exactly. Okay, so we've got the big picture vision, and we've got the rules, and we've got the checks for the high-risk systems.
Yeah.
What's next?
Right. So then you get to the process level,
Okay.
which is where companies figure out the actual processes
Right.
to bring responsible AI to life.
So it's like, okay, what are the review boards?
Right. Like the review boards, the audits.
How do we actually integrate this into existing systems?
Yeah.
It's like creating a whole culture of accountability
Exactly.
where
Yeah.
everybody involved understands their responsibility in this.
You got it.
Yeah.
And then you have the practice level, which is the day-to-day actions and techniques
Okay.
that the teams use to actually develop and deploy AI responsibly.
So that's like taking all of these high-level principles
Right.
and putting them into practice.
Yeah. And, one thing that really struck me in these articles is how much FinTech companies seem to be leading the charge in this.
In adopting this.
Yeah, and adopting responsible AI.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think one reason is that they're agile.
Okay.
Like they're used to embracing new technologies
Right.
quickly. So they're leaning in,
Yeah.
not shying away. I think another reason is financial incentive.
Uh-huh.
The articles mention that FinTech companies, they expect a big revenue boost
Yeah.
from using AI. But it's also the nature of the industry itself, Finance is all about trust.
Absolutely, yeah. If I'm going to trust you with my money, I want to know you're using my information responsibly.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why a lot of FinTech companies are really emphasizing these open source tools and frameworks, for AI, because it promotes transparency.
Yeah.
It lets people kind of see how those systems are working.
So they're trying to be open about how they're using AI
Right.
to build trust with their customer.
Exactly.
But is there a potential downside to that?
Well, I think there's always the question of unintended
Oh,
consequences.
yeah.
And one of the articles brought up this really interesting example, with Klarna,
Okay.
the buy now, pay later company.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They implemented an AI chatbot
Okay.
to handle like a huge portion of their customer service.
Wow. Sounds very efficient, but I feel like there's more to the story.
Yeah, yeah. While it is a great example of, AI and efficiency,
Yeah.
it also means that they could potentially reduce their staff.
Wow.
That's a big question, right? Can they be customer-centric and responsible for their employees?
Right. As AI adoption increases. That
Exactly.
is the question.
Yeah.
That's why these deep dives are so interesting. It's not just about understanding technology.
Right.
It's about grappling with this bigger picture. But before we move on, one thing I thought was interesting in the articles is this idea that responsible AI isn't just about avoiding harm.
Yeah.
It's about using AI for good
Absolutely.
to make a positive impact.
And one area where AI has huge potential is in financial inclusion.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so that's basically about making financial services accessible to everyone.
Okay.
So think about people who've been excluded from the system, those who don't have traditional credit history, don't have access to banks. AI can help with that.
Okay.
Maybe using alternative data to assess their credit worthiness or providing personalized advice.
So it's not just perpetuating existing inequality. It could actually level the playing field.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
I mean,
amazing.
it's not just about access, it's about financial literacy and education. You could have these AI tools that help people understand these really complex concepts.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Right, and make informed decisions. Another area where AI is making a difference is in fraud detection
Oh, right.
and prevention.
Mm.
Financial institutions, they're using it to identify suspicious transactions
Right.
real time, which protects everyone.
That's great. So it's using AI to make the system more secure.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And as the technology evolves, we can expect even more applications.
It's an exciting time,
Yeah.
but we need to make sure we're doing it responsibly.
We do.
What are your initial thoughts on all of this?
Yeah.
Are you surprised by how quickly it's being adopted? Or does this feel like a natural progression?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear what you think. We'll be back soon to explore even more about the challenges and opportunities of responsible AI in FinTech.
Sounds good. As we get further into this, responsible AI and fintech, it seems like there are some pretty big challenges coming up.
For sure. One that really jumps out from these articles is this balance between innovation and all these new regulations.
Oh, yeah. It's a tough one. Fintech companies are known for being fast
Right.
and agile, but now they have to deal with all these rules, especially with the EU AI Act.
It's not just about following the rules, though.
No.
It's about really making those AI principles part of how they do things.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that leads to another big challenge bias. How do we deal with that?
Yeah. AI is only as good as the data it learns from.
Right.
And if that data is biased, well, the AI will be too.
Yeah. Exactly. So how do they fix that?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is. It's not simple. It takes a lot of work, carefully choosing the data,
Mm-hmm.
checking it constantly, making sure different voices are heard in the process, and always testing to see if bias pops up.
So it's not just about the tech. It's about the people too.
Exactly. Making AI responsible means changing how everyone thinks.
Oh, okay.
And while we're on the topic of challenges, let's talk about explainability.
We touched on it earlier,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a big one.
Huge companies can't just say, trust us, our AI is fair.
Right.
They have to show how it's fair.
Especially with things like loans or credit scores.
Yeah. Imagine being denied and all they say is the computer said no, not good enough.
Nope. People need to know why decisions are made, especially when it affects their money.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But explaining how complex AI works is hard.
Really hard. It's like trying to look inside a black box.
It is, but luckily there's a whole field of research on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, explainable AI or XAI.
Yeah.
They're trying to open that black box.
So how does that work? What are they doing?
One way is looking at feature importance. What inputs matter most to the AI's decision?
Okay.
So for credit scores, maybe income and job history matter more than your age or where you live.
So we can see if the system is biased based on what it's focusing on.
Exactly. XAI isn't just about understanding the AI. It's about making sure it's ethical.
Makes sense. Are there other approaches?
There are. One is counterfactual explanations. It's asking what would need to change for the AI to decide differently.
Interesting.
Like if you're denied a loan, it might say, if your credit score was 50 points higher, you'd be approved.
Ah, so it tells you what to do.
Exactly. It's clear and helpful. And these are just two examples. XAI is growing all the time.
That's good to hear.
Add a
But are companies actually using these tools?
They are. It's still early, but some are building XAI into their systems. Others are working with companies that specialize in it.
But like we said before, it's not just about the tech.
Hmm.
It's about how companies use it.
Right. They need to make explainability part of their culture. Train their people to think about it from the start and involve ethics and compliance experts.
Another example of how responsibility takes more than just tech.
Exactly. And speaking of holistic approaches, let's not forget legacy systems.
Oh, right.
Hmm.
A lot of companies are stuck with old tech.
Yeah. And old tech wasn't built for AI.
So how do they keep up?
It's a big challenge. They have to invest in modernizing,
Right.
migrating data, upgrading systems.
Sounds like a mess.
It can be, but it's necessary, or they'll fall behind.
So we've got balancing innovation and rules, dealing with bias, explaining decisions, and fixing old tech. What else are FinTech leaders dealing with?
One of the biggest is trust.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
If people don't trust AI with their money, they won't use it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
earning that trust means being open, communicating clearly,
Yeah.
and showing you're committed to doing things the right way. It's a constant effort.
And it's not just customers, right? It's
Yeah.
regulators, employees, everyone.
Exactly. Responsible AI has to be in everything a company does.
Yeah. It's not just talk. It's action.
Exactly, but it's not all bad. There are good things coming out of these challenges, too.
Oh, I was hoping you'd say that. Tell me more. What are companies doing to make this work?
Well, one exciting area is new technology.
Like what kind of tech are we talking about?
Well, one interesting thing is federated learning.
Okay.
It lets AI learn from data that's spread out.
So instead of collecting it all in one place.
Right, which can be risky for privacy.
Mm-hmm.
The AI can learn from bits of data here and there.
Watch safer.
Exactly. We're also seeing more differential privacy.
What's that?
It adds noise to the data to protect privacy, but the AI can still learn from the general patterns.
So it's protecting people while still making the AI better.
Right. It's addressing those ethical concerns around data.
Definitely. And it's not just about the tech, but how you use it.
Right. Another important strategy is collaboration,
Yeah.
bringing people together from different fields.
Right, like a team effort.
Exactly.
Right.
To develop AI responsibly, you need data scientists, ethicists, lawyers, compliance people, business leaders, all working together.
Breaking down those walls.
Yeah, and it's not just a one-time thing. It takes constant work.
So you can't just set it and forget it.
Nope. Companies need to keep an eye on their AI
Right.
to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to and to catch any problems early on.
Like bias or something unexpected.
Exactly. It's all about feedback and making adjustments.
And that feedback should come from everyone, right?
Of course, users, employees, anyone affected.
They're the ones who see how it really works.
Exactly. Their input is so valuable. So we've got new tech collaboration, constant monitoring. What else is helping?
Yeah. What else?
Education and transparency. Companies need to teach their people about responsible AI.
Okay.
And they have to be open with customers about how they're using AI.
So being honest builds trust.
Right. And it's not just about checking boxes. It's about real conversations.
This has been really eye-opening. It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But before we finish this part, I want to hear from you. What do you think about all these challenges?
Yeah.
Do they seem impossible? Or are you hopeful that companies can figure it out? Yeah.
Let us know what you think about this changing world. We've talked about the challenges and the strategies, but there's this one thing that keeps coming up. Explainability.
Yeah, for sure. It's essential. As AI gets more and more complex, we can't just assume it's doing the right thing.
Right.
We need to know how it's making decisions.
That's really important in finance.
Oh, absolutely. These AI systems can really affect people's lives.
Yeah, think about it. You apply for a loan and you're denied.
Right.
But the only explanation you get is, our AI said no.
Yeah. That's not good enough.
It's not. You want to know why?
Exactly. What led to that decision? What could you maybe change?
It's about being transparent and accountable.
For sure. People deserve to know how these decisions are made, especially when it comes to their money.
And it's not just about the individual user.
Right.
Regulators are also getting involved.
Yeah, they want explainability too, especially for those high-risk systems.
The ones that could really impact people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we actually make this happen? Yeah. How do we get explainability, especially with these really complicated AI models, like deep learning?
Well, it's tough.
Yeah, I bet.
These models can have so many moving parts. Millions, even billions.
Wow.
It's like trying to understand a black box.
So how are they trying to solve this?
Well, there's a whole field of research on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called explainable AI, or XAI. They're developing all these tools and techniques.
Okay, so what are they doing? How does this actually work?
Well, one approach is called feature importance.
Okay.
It basically figures out which inputs are having the biggest effect on the AI's decision.
So for a credit score, it might show that income and job history are more important than your age or where you live.
Exactly. And that helps us see if there's any bias in the system.
Right, because if
Mhm.
it's focusing on the wrong things, that's a problem.
And that's a big part of XAI.
Yeah.
Not just understanding the AI, but making sure it's ethical.
Okay, so what other approaches are there?
Well, there's another one called counterfactual explanations. And this is basically asking what would need to change for the AI to decide differently.
Interesting.
So say you were denied a loan.
Right.
A counterfactual explanation might tell you, if your credit score was 50 points higher, you'd be approved.
Oh, so it gives you specific things you could do.
Exactly. It makes it much clearer. And these are just two examples.
Wow,
There's a lot of work being done in XAI.
that's good to hear. But are companies actually using these tools?
Yeah, they are. It's still early, but some are building XAI right into their systems. Others are working with companies that specialize in it.
It sounds like it's more than just the tools, though.
Oh, definitely. It's about making explainability part of the culture.
Yeah.
You have to train your people to think this way from the start
Right.
and get ethics and compliance experts involved.
So it's another example of how responsibility takes more than just tech.
Exactly. And it's a journey. We're just at the beginning.
And as AI gets more powerful, the need for explainability is only going to grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially in finance.
Well, this has been a fascinating look at responsible AI in FinTech. It's a lot to take in,
It is.
but I think it's really important to have these conversations.
For sure. The more we understand, the better we can navigate this new world.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah.
We hope you learned something new.
Yeah. And maybe even feel inspired.
To think critically about the role of AI in our lives.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening.